don't take Dolly's man. But just who exactly is her man? We know on paper she is married to Carl Thomas Dean, but anything beyond that is shrouded in mystery.
We're very secure in who we are, and we love each other a lot.
And let's face it, they are very different from other famous couples, joined at the hip at every red carpet event. So fortunately for all of us, we have done some digging to get a better picture of Carl and Dolly's romance.
It's coming along exactly like I want it to.
While Dolly's obviously queen of music, what does Carl do for a living? How did the two of them meet? And was there ever anything else with a certain someone? You know, Porter Wagoner. I am your host, Nostalgic Nick, and we are gonna get down to these answers and more, including the heartbreaking reason these two don't have kids. If you enjoy our Dolly deep dive, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for all things nostalgia. But without further ado, let the honeymoon begin. How did Dolly Parton and Carl Thomas Dean meet? The year was 1964, and an 18-year-old Dolly Parton was heading to Nashville's wishy-washy laundromat for a cleaning. Dolly had just moved to the Music City that same day, so as she recalls, falling in love wasn't necessarily on her radar. Just a budding music career and some fresh clothes. Instead, just outside the laundromat, she sees a 21-year-old Carl Thomas Dean, tall, dark, and handsome. But what really struck Dolly was that when they spoke to each other, he looked at her face, not her body. She said that was very rare for those days. So it made that conversation really stand out, along with Dean's genuine interest in learning about her. And for Carl's sake, he had a bit of an epiphany of his own. It's not often he gives interviews, but when he was asked about their first meeting, he shared that he had two thoughts. The first was, I'm going to marry that girl. And the second, Lord, she's good looking. For that first date, Dean took Dolly out for dinner. And they're certainly happy, and that's why they grabbed a bite at McDonald's.
I'd rather go to Kmart and buy a whole bunch of cheap stuff for less money.
Their wedding day was May 30th, 1966, and it was quiet. The venue was a small Baptist church in Georgia, and the only people in attendance were Dolly's mother, the pastor, and his wife. What does Dolly Parton's husband, Carl, do for a living? Dolly's record label first protested her marriage to Carl because they figured it would hurt her budding career.
I was working for a label. They didn't want me to get married because they'd invested a lot of money, so they asked if I'd wait.
There's less sensationalism behind a married music star whose spouse isn't even in the industry. Instead, Carl was a simple businessman. Tennessee born and raised, he served as the head of an asphalt-laying company located in Nashville. He has steadily built a solid career since his 20s, and he stayed in his lane even after getting with Dolly Parton. The guy doesn't even appear with her at publicity events. These days, he's primarily retired, but puts his sharp business mind to good use as a philanthropist, managing the family wealth and helping others get the boost they need. He also works behind the scenes as part of the brain behind Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, which is dedicated to childhood literacy.
We wanted them to dream more, learn more, care more.
Back in 2018, the organization donated its 100th million book. Oftentimes, partners of music stars get involved, but not Carl Thomas Dean. No, he never had any interest in it. He told Dolly, quote, I didn't choose this world. I chose you, and you chose that world. But we can keep our lives separate and together. Oh, and he also runs a lot of support at home, especially in the kitchen, where he serves as a one-man cleanup crew to whatever experiment Dolly cooks up. Seriously, talk about a dream team. Did Dolly have a relationship with Porter Wagoner? The names Dolly Parton and Porter Wagoner are practically inseparable, especially for longtime country fans, as the two were fantastic partners in rhyme for 7 years, during the most formative point in Dolly's career. Porter Wagoner recruited Dolly when she was fresh into her marriage with Carl. Wagoner gave her a platform and a musical partnership that saw her eclipse the host. Dolly begs Jolene not to steal her man, But with a connection like that, should Carl Dean have been begging the same thing to Wagner?
I don't believe anything about me, but I believe everything about everybody else.
Unnecessary as it turns out, as Dolly's success went up, her professional relationship with Wagner fell. Looking back, Dolly chalks it up to jealousy. She says she wasn't trying to hog his show, but other people ended up wanting to record with her. The feelings got so intense, she'd call it love-hate. But at the same time, he needed her for all that fame she brought. Dolly said, quote, "We fought like cats and dogs. Even when she wanted to break out on her own, he made it clear he was not happy with that. It got to the point Wagner tried to sue her, and the whole fallout inspired a song out of Parton, one she played for Wagner to make it clear this had to end. Porter Wagner burst into tears and agreed, but only if he could produce the record for that tune.
Thank you, Dolly.
And that number was a little ditty called I Will Always Love You. And so the great country duo went their separate ways. Why couldn't Dolly Parton have children? A lot about their relationship has deviated from the norm, but like many couples, they pictured starting a family. In fact, they picked out names together for their kids. A daughter named Carla. Dolly shared, quote, "My husband and I, when we first got married, we thought about if we had kids, what would they look like? Would they be tall because he's tall, or would they be little squats like me? But the years went on and still no kids." Partly, Dolly felt guilty at the idea of leaving kids to go tour. She believes that if she started a family, she would never have become a star. But fate made that decision in another way. In the 1980s, Dolly was suffering severely from endometriosis. It was agony, and she ended up getting a partial hysterectomy. It was a very tough time for Dolly, and she fell into a depression. She almost collapsed on stage. Filming Rhinestone with Sylvester Stallone helped her climb out of that dark place. She said that Sly was so crazy and full of life that she was able to laugh again, and that was enough to help. Humor wins the day. And anyway, family is a pretty broad term. Dolly Parton wears the honorary title of fairy godmother to the melodious Miley Cyrus.
She's like one of my kids. I've known her since she was a tiny little baby, and I've always known she was so talented.
Since Dolly can't have kids and didn't have time for the adoption process, she decided everyone can be her kid.
But I really honestly believe that some things like that are meant to be, because now everybody's kids are mine.
She loves getting to babysit because she can let out her inner child. Yes, that sounds like Dolly all right. What's Dolly and Carl's secret to a long marriage? They say opposites attract, and it seems Carl and Dolly are proof. She's got all the presents of the 4th of July, and he's repelled by the spotlight. And that's a key thing, how much they respect each other's personalities and preferences. Sharp eyes can see Carl on the record sleeve for Parton's album, My Blue Ridge Mountain Boy. But he and Parton had a serious discussion where Carl said he wouldn't be going to many events.
He's very independent, and I want him to do what makes him happy. He wants me to do what makes me happy.
And for couples nights out, they only go to smaller locations where they won't be recognized, or at least try to minimize that. It's Dolly after all. Dolly said, quote, "He's kind of a loner, so he doesn't really like being with anybody but me. He loves living on the farm, taking care of the property as he has for all these many years." That's always been the case for them, along with Carl's appreciation for Dolly not based on looks. Even though she refuses to be at home without makeup, but knows Dean doesn't care how she looks.
Dolly, how long does it take for you to do your hair?
I wouldn't know, I'm never there.
For those who want what they have, Dolly lists a few secrets behind their exceptional marriage. Only half-jokingly, she says, quote, "Stay gone," citing all her music travels. You can't fight if you're far away. And then you appreciate each other all the more when you're together. But at the heart of it all, she highly recommends good humor. Dolly has said, quote, "We both have a warped sense of humor, and I think humor honestly is one of the best things when you're married like that."
I think comedy is part of our being because it's kind of what helps you through the hard times.
The biggest highlight was probably her insecurities over the relationship that spawned the song Jolene. But he has been a positive muse to Dolly in a way bigger way. It's because of Carl she conjured up
From here to the moon and back.
Yep, he is the inspiration behind To the Moon and Back. So we all have Carl Thomas Dean to thank for that. How old is Carl Thomas Dean? You could say Dolly and Carl grew up and grew old together. As of July 2022, he is 80 years old and Dolly's 77, and they still find ways of having fun together. They enjoy setting off in a camper and visiting a lake house, enjoying a picnic, staying overnight, and sometimes in a motel. And when a special birthday came around in recent years, Dolly even threw on her Playboy bunny outfit for him.
Some time back, I said I was going to pose on Playboy magazine when I was 75. Well, I'm 75.
So that is the love story involving Dolly Parton and Carl Thomas Dean. How much did you already know about this great couple? Do you agree with her secrets to a lasting romance? Did you watch Dolly on The Porter Wagner Show? And who is your favorite celebrity couple? Get in the comments and tell me your thoughts. Before you hightail it out of here, please hit that thumbs up icon if you enjoyed this video. And subscribe to our channel so you never miss a memory. But from all of us here at Do You Remember, we want to thank you for watching.